Make the most random shit ever, dude. Like, the ship also shoots people out of it.
YNT Cuber. Random shit ever.
Random shit ever, dude.
What's going on, PlayDate Community? Welcome back to another episode. My name is Franchovy, and in this series we are building your game. I have been unable to sleep for the last 2 months because of CNT Cuber that commented that I should put the random shit ever, like people shooting out of the ship, in my game. So we're actually gonna add in a special kind of functionality. I figured out something that we can do, so you guys bear with me. I'm gonna explain what we're gonna do. This might take 2 episodes, but we're gonna get it done, and I think it's gonna be a very unique idea, and so I'm excited for it. So I don't know if any of you guys have played Yoshi's Island before, but this game on DS was one of my favorite games of all time. And you can see here that you've got like the top screen and the double screen. How cool were those days? And basically what would happen in that game is that if Yoshi was damaged, which you'll see in a second, yeah, the baby would actually fall off of Yoshi and be in a floating bubble and fly around, and basically you had 10 seconds to get it back. And if you didn't, then those guys, they would come in and steal your baby, and you would get a game over. So I really like this mechanic, actually, and I was thinking we could do something similar. So here I am in our project, and what I've done is I went ahead and made a little human that will be floating around in space. No baby crying noises, don't worry, we don't need to do that. And a little bubble, because you know this human needs some oxygen, and so it's gonna be breathing. In fact, why does Yoshi Island have a bubble? You don't need a bubble. So in space you need a bubble, and so this guy's gonna be floating around and wiggling around, and basically when the ship gets touched by an enemy, this is gonna shoot out. This human in a bubble is gonna shoot out of one side, and the person's going to be wiggling around, and you're going to have a set timer before you get a game over, basically, to get that human back. So it's kind of a unique take, definitely stealing from Yoshi's Island, but I love that game, so I'll be happy to do that. So guys, I haven't planned this out properly, so I'm going to explain to you guys how I plan a feature real quick. So this is going to be broken down into multiple steps. So we have the player being shot out of the ship. So basically, instead of on death being called, we're going to switch it out with something like, you know, damage or on collision or something like that. We're going to get the angle opposite from the monster. So when that happens, we're going to get the angle opposite, and we're going to shoot the player out the other way right here. The ship is going to be frozen for maybe half a second or a little bit of time, just so that we can show that animation. We're probably going to put in some screen shake, and later on we can put in some visuals as well. And then basically we're going to have just a timer. For now, we might not even show the seconds. We'll see that. Where basically you have 10 seconds to pick up that human. In fact, 10 seconds might be too much. We'll see. The ship will still be free to move in whatever direction it wants. And it's going to be a matter of going back to the player, picking it up, and if you pick it up, then the timer gets canceled and you're back to normal. Meanwhile, if you don't pick it up, then that's when the on death, which maybe could be renamed to on game over, could be called. Anyways, let's get right into it. So first thing we want to do is we want to create a little human. We're going to call it human.lua. We're going to put in our sprites. And again, everybody, you know the drill. Local gfx open brackets const equals playdate.graphics. All right, class, we're gonna call it human dot extends open close brackets. I'm gonna do that autocomplete helper, so I'm gonna go above that line and type in dash 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 at class space human capital H colon playdate dot graphics dot sprite. And then just to help the actually let's see if this works. No, it doesn't work. So I do need to make like a dummy table, which I'm going to put right here. So I'm going to say local human with a capital H equals open close curly brackets. So that tells the autocomplete that there is a table that's human, but because of this weird functionality, this weird syntax, like we can't directly define it on class. But anyways, it works now, or at least it should. So we're gonna do function human colon init, and then here we're gonna say human.super.init, and we're gonna pass in self, and then we're gonna close that function. And so here we're gonna import those two image tables. Actually, it's not gonna be inside the init. We're gonna do it way at the top. Oh, sorry, I missed something. We're gonna, inside the extends, we're gonna do gfx.sprite. Human extends gfx.sprite. So here we're gonna do image table assets. I'm just adding a comment. So it's gonna be local image table bubble equals, and I'm gonna use the assert syntax here to make sure I don't make any mistakes. And I'm gonna say gfx.imagetable.new, and then we haven't defined our assets yet, but I'm gonna just call it bubble. And then I'm gonna do image table human, and then assets.human. There we go. So I mean, for now it's just bubble and human. If we add more variants, we might be more specific there. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead. So the two sprite sheets are gonna be linked in the comment section, not in the comment section, in the description. And I just need to go ahead and rename these real quick. So we're giving it the width and height for each of the frames in the image table so that we can play that animation. Okay, so now we have our two image tables. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create two animation loops. So we're gonna do animation. So inside human.init, we're gonna do self.animation loop bubble equals gfx.animation.loop.new. Yeah, I'm gonna put 100 there. I'm gonna pass in image table bubble, and then should loop true. And then I'm gonna do very similar, copy and paste that, change bubble to human, and change the image table to human. I would make this one faster though. I'm gonna make it like 30 or even 20. Let's see how that runs. So now that we have our init call and we're initializing both of these animations, what we want to do is we want to say human, so function human colon draw. And it's going to pass in x, y, width, and height. So that's going to be the dirty rect. We're not going to use that right now. We're just going to draw and see how that works out. In the meantime, we do want to draw both of these animations. So I'm going to do self.animation loop bubble colon draw. And so instead of passing x and y, which might be a common mistake, we're actually going to pass 0, 0. Because x and y is going to be the dirty rect, which I think, can we, like, is there a description for that somewhere? Self-colon draw. Can I see a little description, please? Nope, I can't. Okay. Anyways, trust me, bro. X, Y width height is going to be the area that needs to be redrawn on the sprite. Now, what we're actually going to be doing here is that we're going to be telling the human to redraw itself all the time until we find a better solution, which maybe you won't. But anyways, we're going to set always redraw to true. Just for simplicity. And let me see if I missed any arguments here. Draw x, y, flip. So we're not going to flip. So we're going to do self.animation loop human draw 0, 0. We do need to set the size of the sprite because we haven't done that yet. So I'm going to go back to human colon init. Underneath the super init, I'm going to do self.setSize, and I'm going to do 52, 52, because I believe that's the size of the bubble. Then I'm realizing now that 52 is, the human needs to be in the center of the bubble. So I don't know if there's not really any helper functions that we can use for this draw function. So what we're going to do is that we're going to do 52 minus 32, which is 20, divided by 2. So we're going to do 10, 10. If that doesn't make sense, then Use your brain. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go add a new function, which is gonna be function human : update, open close brackets. Then I'm gonna say human.super.update self, and then I hate that one. And then I'm gonna do self : mark dirty, and then end. So what this is gonna do is that it's gonna mark the entire sprite as dirty, and what dirty means is that it needs to be redrawn. So as soon as the next draw loop occurs, then it's gonna redraw the entire human. I'm gonna add it to our sprites import. So import sprites /human. And then in main, I'm just gonna add, similar to what we've done before, I'm just gonna add a human to test. Human. And so inside game start, I'm gonna do human : add, and I'm gonna add a test code. So there's a comment, human move to, and I'll move it to the center of the screen, like 200, 120, and then let's see what that looks like. Woo! Yeah, that's player bubble. So we forgot to add the assets. Yes, so inside assets, we're gonna go, so inside assets.lua, we're gonna do bubble equals assets / player dash bubble. And then we're gonna do human equals assets / player dash floating. All right, let's try again. Let's restart. Okay, starting. And I don't see any human. Welcome back. It's been 1 hour since I left. Yeah, do not put local in front of this little helper over here. The class here is not local. The class here is global, but I've defined a local human here, and this is gonna default to the local human and not the global one. So that was my mistake. Do not put local there, and see whether the animation is playing. Woo! It's a bit fast. Little bit. I'm gonna do 100 here and 300 or 400 there. Let's see how that looks. Woo, that looks good. I like that. I like that. So we've got a little human. Looks a little bit like an alien. It's got a big head or something like that. What we want to do is we want to project this human out of the player when it gets touched. We're gonna go inside player.lua. We're gonna do function player : set human sprite, and say human sprite, and we're gonna do self dot, and again we're kind of doing these in the wrong order. It should be sprite human, really. Sprite human equals human sprite, I guess. Let's at least fix it on the local level, you know. Self dot sprite human. And so instead of doing on death, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be doing get meta table on death. We're gonna call this, let's say, on damage or on touch enemy. I guess that's simpler. And then we're gonna do player function player : on touch enemy, and then there we're actually gonna add the human to the scene. We're gonna launch the human out towards, I mean, for now we can pick a random direction, but yeah, so let's do that. We're gonna do self.sprite human. First of all, I'm gonna guard this function so that if there's no sprite human, so if we're doing if not self.sprite human, then return. So we're guarding the function so that we know we have a sprite human when we're doing it, so we don't run into any unexpected issues. Then what we do is that we can do self.sprite human : add self.sprite human : move to self dot x comma self dot y. So we're moving it to the player's direction. And then we can do, for example, let's say set velocity. We'll fix all these velocity parameters later on, but I'm gonna add a set velocity function, and I'm just gonna say -8 and -8. Kind of a random guess. Anyways, I'll go back to the human. we need to add this set velocity function because it doesn't exist. We're going to do function human colon set velocity, and then we're going to do vx comma vy, and then we're going to do and do self dot vx equals vx, self dot vy equals vy, and then inside update we're going to do self colon move by vx vy. So now we're going to be setting a velocity on the player, on the human, sorry, from the player when you get touched, and then the bubble is going to move in a certain direction. So we can get rid of the add and move to code from the game start. Player colon set human sprite, and I'm going to do human. Okay, I made a mistake here. It needs to be self dot vx, so I'm inside human.lua. It needs to be self.vx and self.vy. All right, let's try again. Let's go. Boom. Woo, he just flew away. Oh, okay, so what's happening? It's flying away. So what's happening is that it's a constant thing. Like when he gets touched, he gets moved to the current position constantly. What we want to do is we want to have some sort of lost human function, and that pauses the interaction between the enemies and the player. So we're going to make some small adjustments. Let's do this -1 and -1. Yeah. Let's do local vx comma vy. So sorry guys, I'm inside player.lua on touch enemy, and I'm going to set an angle for us to move. So we're going to do get rotation components math.random, and it's in radians, so actually I'm going to say m an integer, so it's going to be math.random with nothing times math.pi times 2 times math.pi. So that's basically gives you between 0 and 360 degrees. And then the velocity, we're going to say 1. Like, let's give it a pretty slow velocity. And then we do vx, sorry, and then we do self.sprite human set velocity, vx, and vy. Okay, and so you start again. Okay, look at that. It's looking better. And he's moving in random directions. Now, we're going to do one last thing, and then I think we're good for this episode. We're going to add a timer. Where basically this is going to be self.timer human lost naming, guys. Important. And then I'm going to do playdate.timer.new, and then duration, let's give it 10 seconds. So that's going to be 10,000. Callback is easy. It's going to be self.onDeath. And we need to pass in self again after that. So it's going to be playdate.timer.new 10,000 comma self.onDeath comma self, so that onDeath receives self as the first argument. We will not care about any collisions while the timer is on. I'm going to do if self.timer human lost and get meta table, but I'm going to do if not self.timer human lost. So basically when this timer exists and is active, which we have to make sure it's never existing while not active, I mean, to avoid doing more checks than just one, then we're going to be detecting enemy collisions. If not, if the timer is active and running, then we're actually going to ignore enemy collisions, and we can handle the human, let's put it in comment there, to do handle human collision right there. And so that's going to be our way of handling the interaction, so that we can touch the enemy once and then the player shoots out, and then basically the human, you need to pick up the human again. So let's see. So timer human lost, and we have to get rid of it in the on death. So we're going to do self.timer human lost colon remove, and self.human timer human lost equals nil. By the way, I'm just going to do a really quick renaming here. I do not like this. This has died should be more or less get has died. and we can remove this underscore from has died. Reason I do that is because the underscore makes sense when it's truly a local thing. Anyways, sorry guys, just do the renaming. Let's try to keep things as clean as possible. I know I might not get it right the first time, but hopefully it makes sense. Okay, players : get has died. Okay, so now we're flying around. Oh my god, we need another get has died. Okay, so we're flying around and touch, and look at that, the human is flying around. Okay, and so, and actually in theory we should get a game over soon. Yes, we do. All right guys, that's gonna be it for today's episode, and I will be following up with the continuation of this one very soon. So thank you all, and see you in the next one.
Bye bye.